Welcome to T21Mom.
Hi friends, it's your friend Mary, and welcome back to the T21Mom podcast. And this is episode 152. And summer is long over, it seems, and we're in the throes of high school, which I'll talk about on another episode. But today's episode is actually about our trip to Prague. And it was another pretty epic trip. We had an amazing time. The transportation system there is second to none. It was so incredibly easy to get around. The access to all the metros was phenomenal. I think there was only one station that we encountered where there was no elevator or escalator, where we had to use the stairs. Everywhere else there was always an elevator or an escalator. There is a lot of cobblestone in Prague though, which it does have its challenges with getting around. I was a little worried at times about doing a header. That thankfully never happened. Same with Dennis. He stayed upright this time as well. We had a couple of close calls, but it was overall pretty good. The weather could have been a tad better, but for the most part, it was quite warm still, even though it wasn't necessarily really sunny out every day. But it's a city full of beauty and just so much history, and it's actually very walkable. It's not a huge city. It was very easy to get around, and you can easily walk to all the different sites. You don't even necessarily need to take the tram or a bus or the metro to get there. So I'm going to do my best to compile this episode, and I hope you enjoy it. And, maybe it'll inspire you to take a trip that you've been thinking about, maybe not necessarily to Prague, but somewhere else that you've been wanting to go to. And it takes a little bit extra planning when you have a kiddo with some extra challenges, but you know what? You can do it. We're doing it, and we're living and loving life. So let's go have a listen. It's 1 a.m. and it's been a pretty stressful evening. We had some issues checking in online, and at first we thought they separated our seats, but then finally when we got to the end, we did have all our seats together. I had a huge issue trying to upload our passports, but of course Dennis did it on the first try. I tried for I think 20 minutes and I couldn't do it, and I'm almost finished packing. I think I've got all the clothes sorted, and Dennis has not packed one thing yet. He is stressing me out. He has a bunch of stuff he has to do in the morning, but thankfully our flight is not until 6 in the evening, so we got plenty of time in the morning to get things sorted. But I don't really like going to bed without feeling like everything's done. Oh, it's always such an ordeal to pack up and go, and it looks like the weather is going to be not great. It looks like it's raining for almost half the time we're there, which is really unfortunate, but we'll figure it out. The temperatures still look pretty warm, so hopefully we don't have to really dress too warmly while we're there. But tomorrow at this time we'll be on a plane. Today was our first really full day here, and I had registered us for, it's called a free walking tour at 3 p.m. So we finally left our place at noon and then got to Old Town, which was just a short metro ride. I think it was 8 minutes. Wandered around for a bit there, and just there's so much beauty here. The architecture is amazing. It's old versus new everywhere you look. A lot of cobblestone. And then we went on our walking tour, which was 3 hours, so quite a long time. And some of it was a little bit tricky to navigate with the cobblestone. I thought I'm going to do a header here. It's not always very even. So we're on a little walking tour. It just literally dumped rain, and we're all just hiding under what's called the Powder Gate. Everyone just suddenly converged under there. It was windy and super rainy, and we were looking for the red umbrella so we could start our tour. And luckily the rain has let up. We brought some light jackets to hopefully keep us somewhat dry. But we're at the start of our tour and the rain has stopped. We saw the old Jewish quarter. We crossed the Charles Bridge. We saw the astronomical clock, which is very, very cool. It's the oldest in the world. It's 600 years old, and it's very intricate how it tells time. We're at the astronomical clock, and it goes off every hour, on the hour.
Saint Peter is like the most obvious one. He's the only one with the key. No, he has a key. He's not crucified upside down there. So everyone else is like with the weapon or the cross. And so that's what you will see in the windows. While that's going on, do you see that around this clock there are 4 statues? Yeah. Do you see the statues around the clock? So the statues move. And basically they represent what's called the reminders. They're like reminding us of things we should keep in mind. The very first one, you see there, he has a mirror in his hand. The one on the very left side. It's called the reminder of vanity. And it's reminding you, don't do it. Don't be vain. Okay. Then the second one has a sack of gold in his hand. Do you see it? Yeah, next to him, and that's the reminder of greed, telling you don't do it. The third one is the skeleton, and it's the reminder of death, and it's telling you there's nothing you can do. It will happen, whatever you do. And then the fourth one, the one with the musical instrument, is indulgence, again telling you don't do it. They're very clear about it. The vanity, greed, and indulgence, they shake their head like this. To say no, don't do it. And the death is the only one that does. Yes, you will. And then at the very end, the golden rooster. See the golden rooster right above the windows. It will flap its wings, move its head like this, and do a quiet. It's the cutest part. Alright, so get ready. It's gonna start in a minute or so.
And the Charles Bridge was at the end, and very, very busy, which I knew it would be. And just learned so much about the history of Prague, and it was a really awesome tour. It started at the Powder Tower, which was sort of the gateway to the city, and it was absolutely pouring with rain. Everyone's kind of hovering under the actual tower to try to stay dry, and this little lady who really didn't speak any English had her umbrella and was trying to cover Ainsley. It was really sweet of her, just because it was just a torrential downpour. It wasn't for very long, maybe 10 or so minutes, maybe 15. And then thankfully it lightened up and it didn't really rain at all for the rest of the tour, which was really fantastic. And it ended actually at the John Lennon Wall, which was really quite cool. And, you know, he talked all about the history about it, and, you know, people write their political feelings on it, and at one time did so at great risk to themselves. And, you know, Prague is Czech Republic is just a relatively new country. 1996, I believe he said, is when it formed.
This used to be the house of the Knights of Malta. It's now the Maltese embassy, and the Lennon Wall, is the last thing I want to talk about. So, if you don't know, this is not like some random graffiti wall. This is part of history. It's an old protest wall from the communist times. So, during communism, we basically used this wall to write stuff against the Communist Party. It was illegal to have this wall during communism, and the Communist Party literally had KGB agents hanging out around the wall, looking out for people who are drawing on the wall. Also, on like a regular basis, they would paint over it to basically make sure that people don't come again, but people still did. People risked basically their freedom to put like little inscriptions on the wall. something against the Soviet Union, something about the Czechoslovak Communist Party. But very often, if you want to show the Communist Party that you don't like them, you also show that you're listening to the music from the West. Yeah, you kind of probably know because you talk to like Latvians about it as well. Yeah, that was like one like simple protest that you could do. It was the same, I'm sure, in the Soviet Union and Russia too. My dad in the 70s spent all his money on the black market buying illegal vinyls, like illegal LPs. Nice. Yeah, he was specifically obsessed with like English hard rock music. Yeah, so Led Zeppelin, Deep Purple, Black Sabbath, Iron Maiden, Pink Floyd, King Crimson, you know. And I grew up on like a healthy diet of 70s hard rock music. 1980. That actually says 45 years anniversary of the Lennon Wall on those circles there, because it's been 45 years now. And since then, basically shortly after he died, somebody painted his picture on the wall and wrote "Rest in Peace, John Lennon." And since then, his picture's been on the wall. This is not the picture from 1980. This is probably like the 500th iteration of the same idea, and there's already 6 centimeters of paint on the wall. Wow. Yeah, it's crazy. Because it's 60 years basically of constant painting on the wall.
We're on day 3 in Prague, and the weather's not great. It's a little bit rainy and a bit cool. But we've got the TV tower near where we're staying, so we're heading there now. And then we're going to the Canadian Embassy later to see my friend Kim. We have finally made it to the Canadian Embassy in Prague. It took us a little bit. We're going the wrong way on the bus, and we couldn't find someone who could speak English. But we finally made it, and we're about to go in. So we're here in Prague, and I'm here with my friend Kim from university from a long time ago. And what's the name of the place that we're at right now, Kim?
We're at Hanovasky Pavilion in Prague.
And it's got an amazing view of the Charles Bridge, which is, would you say it's one of the most famous landmarks here?
Absolutely. Charles Bridge is one of the most famous and iconic landmarks here, and I wanted to bring you here for the beautiful setting. We're currently overlooking a whole array of different villages, and it's a really good opportunity, I think, to appreciate the beauty of Prague.
Yes, we've really been enjoying that. Now, Kim just gave us a little tour of the Canadian Embassy. Now, what do you do there at the embassy, Kim? Although I know soon you're not going to be doing anything because you're, lucky you, getting to retire.
I'm the political counselor at the Embassy of Canada here in Prague, and I manage the political, economic, and public affairs program.
That sounds complicated to me. And also, Kim is an absolutely avid traveler. She came to visit me when I lived in Japan, and she's... Okay, so how many countries have you lived in, Kim, for your job, and what countries are they? We were talking about this earlier. I seem to know better than you.
I've lived in... My first posting was the Philippines. I went back to Ottawa. Then I had the opportunity to be posted in Australia. Then I was in Jakarta, Indonesia, went back to Ottawa. And after a few years, I was then posted to Stockholm, Sweden, went back to Ottawa. And then I was posted to the Joint Canadian Delegation to NATO in Brussels. And from Brussels in 2021, I cross-posted here to Prague.
It's a lot of countries. Do you have a favorite place that you've lived in?
There's something special about everything. I think with the first posting in the Philippines, it's the genuine warmth of the people. The people really made it amazing. Australia was great. My former dog used to chase kangaroos. That was a blast. Yes. No, the Max, the Doberman.
Okay.
Yeah, that was many years ago. Indonesia there was lots happening politically at the time, so that made it quite an interesting experience. I got to be an election monitor for the first democratic elections in East Timor, which was quite interesting. Stockholm was great because it's so beautiful. It was like living in a postcard. NATO was a wild ride for 4 years, incredibly interesting. And Prague, I think, is probably one of the most beautiful cities I've ever been in.
Amazing. And Kim used to send me postcards from all over the world, and I always loved getting your postcards. It was really cool. And you've also traveled to so many amazing places. How many countries have you been to? Do you know?
Last time I counted, that sounds very pretentious, but I did count. I was about 112, and I think I've added a few more there. So I would say about 115.
That's
amazing. And do you have a favorite place that you visited? Or I guess it might be hard to pick one or two, but is there one that's a standout place for you? Zanzibar. Years and years ago I went. That's a real standout for me. Recently I was in Azerbaijan. I quite enjoyed that. There's something, South Africa is amazing. I've learned, though, that it's sometimes best not to go back because you want to hold precious the memories you created the first time that you've captured in your mind. And I find that the more you travel, the more you realize just how much more of the world there is to see.
Oh, exactly. So cheers to that.
Cheers.
Cheers. We're back home now, and it was so nice to catch up with my friend Kim. And we'll see her again later this week. And then she's heading back to Canada in exactly 1 week. After quite an illustrious career, she is actually second in command at the Canadian Embassy here in Prague, which I think is pretty cool. And we had a really great dinner. There was some confusion or issues with our reservation, and then they couldn't initially get us in, but they eventually did make room for us, and we had some good burgers, and we had, I can't remember the name of the drink, Siparini, I think it was. It's one of Kim's favorite drinks, and so we had that, and then we headed out, and it was a torrential downpour, but thankfully we were only a few blocks from our place, but we were pretty soaked by the time we got home. And now we're just chilling at home, and to be honest, I'm pretty tired. So hopefully it'll be an early night tonight. Today we're going to the zoo. And Ainsley, can you say hi?
Hi.
We're going to the zoo. We're just waiting for Dennis. We always seem to be waiting for him. But I have to cut him a little bit of slack because he is pushing Ainsley all over Prague on cobblestone, much harder than Paris last year. So he deserves credit for that. So, and there's a botanical garden next to the zoo and also a vineyard. So hopefully we'll have time to check that out as well. So we finally discovered the app PID, which will help us get around. It would have really helped yesterday. So it gives explicit directions and it's in English. So that's helped us because it's trying to figure out which direction the buses and the trams are going, because that's always sort of messes us up. But we're doing okay. We're heading to the zoo and we'll be there shortly. We spent the whole day at the zoo. It was a lot of walking. My feet are tired, and I'm sure Dennis is even more tired since he pushed Ainsley all over the Prague Zoo. Beautiful, beautiful zoo. Huge variety of animals. We absolutely loved the orangutans, and there was a baby orangutan, and also the gorillas, and of course there was a baby gorilla. Lots of babies seen throughout the zoo. But holy smokes, their signage is really terrible. We kept looking for the lion, and we found him with 1 minute before the park closed, and so obviously didn't get in to see the lions. Dennis was a little bit disappointed. But we kept following the sign where it said the lions, and then the signs would just stop and we would never find them, and a couple times we went in circles. I go, we've been here before. So, it's quite hilly in sections. So, I mean, if you ever go, I would highly recommend it. It was great. The bus will take you right there. I mean, we took the metro, a tram, and a bus, but it got us right there, and it was a little easier for us coming back. But it was a really great day. Not too hot. The weather's been a little bit sporadic here and there. It did rain a tiny bit, but was really nothing. But yeah, it was a great zoo. It's beautiful. just a huge, wide variety of animals, many I have never even remotely heard of. Just the signage and directions could definitely be improved on, I think, because there was several times where we weren't sure where we were. But yeah, it was a great day. And then we ended up going for dinner right next to the zoo because it was 7 o'clock, and we don't want any hangry children. So we just went next door and grabbed a quick bite to eat. But yeah, a very full day once again. And oh my feet are sore. We went to the Naplavka, and I'm sure I said that incorrectly, market. I had read about it, and it's only held on Saturdays. It's like a huge farmer's market, and it's right down on the river, like right on the boardwalk there. And it really was just fantastic. There were so many different types of vendors. You could sit and have a glass of wine. It was super crowded, and I was just trying to take it all in, but it was really amazing, and just so many different vendors there. I got Ainsley a little belt, and I think I got a few other little things there. I got us some little treats and things like that, but I loved it. I mean, I love going to the farmer's market, but this was beyond anything we've ever been to. I loved it. I mean, I love going to the farmer's market, but this was beyond anything we've ever been to. We finally made it to the Naplavka market. I probably didn't say that right. And it's huge, and it's super, super busy. Of course, it's all cobblestone. It's right on the river. Oh, it's amazing, everything that they sell here. People are just standing out having a glass of wine. There's fresh bread, fruit, jams, all sorts of things. It's just lovely. There is just so much to see and do here in Prague. And what I didn't know prior to going to Prague was that Prague is perhaps considered the beer capital of the world. So my friend Kim told me that we must go and do a beer spa. And even Dennis got into it. And I have a really great picture of him holding a beer in his tub. It was quite cool. And even Ainsley enjoyed it. She stayed in it for about half of the time, and then she just kind of laid on the bed there. But it was kind of a unique experience and a lot of fun. We're in the metro. We're getting pretty good, I'd say, getting around. They have a fantastic transportation system here in Prague once you sort of figure it out. Although we do have a hard time finding metro stations because signage is sometimes a little bit tough to find. But we're on our way to the beer spa. It's unlimited beer while we're in there, and you're soaking in kind of like beer. Apparently they don't add the hops, so it should be interesting. It's a private room. We have 2 tubs, so Ainsley will also be with us. It should be pretty cool. The beer spa was really fantastic. And as I said, Ainsley enjoyed it. I mean, she did dump the, you kind of get a bowl of, I want to say kind of like bath mud, I guess, or it was really beer mud. And you kind of rub it on your body and stuff. And Ainsley eventually dumped it into the water, which was fine. It was quite warm, the water. And we got a session later in the day. I think it was around 7 actually that we went. So it was a great way to end the day. And then we just went home after soaking it all in. It was a really great way to end the day. It is quite expensive. I think it was probably one of the most expensive things that we did do while we were in Prague. I think for the 3 of us, gosh, it was about 460 Canadian dollars. But, I think, it's kind of like once in a lifetime kind of things to do. You're away in this foreign country, and it was, I think, really kind of special and lots of fun. Highly recommend. Another place that we went to that I wasn't actually really planning on going to. It was sort of on a little itinerary that I had, of all the different things to see and do in Prague, but it was the Strahov Monastery. And actually, my friend Kim recommended it. And I'm so glad we went because the artwork was truly just incredible. And to be in this place where they had books that were thousands of years old, and you can actually still go in and look at the books. I mean, we didn't do that, obviously, but it was really interesting to see. It was like I said, the artwork was just incredible. And there is a museum, like more like an art gallery on one side as well. And I really quite enjoyed that. And Dennis also spent some time going around looking at all the different artwork. Most of it's different religious type paintings, but not all. And it was just a really nice way to spend our afternoon.
We're at the Strahov Monastery, and wow, it's just beautiful. The artwork, the amazing frescoes on the ceilings of the library, and the artwork is absolutely breathtaking.
So we finally got a pretty decent day. It was sunny and there wasn't really any clouds in the sky, and it was pretty warm. And my friend Kim once again suggested that we go into the paddle boat. So you're literally right out on the water, and there's different types of paddle boats that you can pick. And one of them is like a car. It looks like this brown car. And so Dennis really wanted to do that one. So we got in that and we paddled around. You can go fairly close to the Charles Bridge. And it was a lot of fun. It's a pretty good workout, but we had a good time out on the water.
So we're out on the paddle boats. We are in a little car. It's a beautiful day. It's not too hot. Ainsley managed to get her popper and threw it in the water. We weren't even 5 minutes out, and it was in the water. We tried to get it and said, oh, screw it. We'll come back and get it, but we don't see it on the way back. And then there's a little drive-in bar, and we each got a little drink, not Ainsley, because if she's holding anything, it's going to go in the water. We took our glasses off before we even came down the ramp. But a beautiful day, lots of ducks out. We can see the Charles Bridge. It's the famous bridge of Prague. And it's just a really beautiful day. Going to Aqua Palace. It's, I think, one of the biggest or the biggest inside water park in Europe. We have decided not to take the stroller because where will we put it once we're there? So hoping for the best. I mean, it really shouldn't be a lot of walking. It's just to the metro and then to get on the bus. I think it'll be okay. Like all our other days, we've had a lot of walking, so I couldn't really expect Ainsley to be walking around all those days, but I'm really hoping that we're not regretting not taking the stroller. We can rent towels there, which helps, so that's good. But should be a really fun day. It's indoors, which I get it, so it can work year round, but it's actually one of the beautiful days we've had here in Prague. It's been raining every day since we've been here except yesterday at some point during the day. But I mean, we've been lucky. The temperatures have been quite good, and the rain just comes in spurts, so it hasn't been that bad. And obviously we've seen so much already. Wish me luck.
We're at Aqua Place right now, and this place is absolutely massive. We couldn't even find the water slides initially. I thought there were water slides. Where are they? And it's huge. We still haven't seen everything, and it's been crazy. We went on the I think it was called the Winding River, and oh my gosh, I lost Ainsley in part of it, and there was a lifeguard. He goes, she's good, and it was crazy. And the very first one I went down was like a space pool. It dumps you out into this pool, and it was pretty scary. Like, I went in head first in that part, and then I was waiting for Ainsley, and the lifeguard's telling me to get out. I said, no, I gotta get my daughter. And she said, can't she swim? And I said, yeah, she can swim, but it's a little disorienting when you go down, because it's quite deep there, and it was a little scary. So obviously we're not going to do that one again. But we've gone down the Winding River a few times. It's fun. It's a little crazy, it's bumpy, but it's fun.
The Aqua Palace was a lot of fun. I kept calling it the Aqua Place, but I believe it's actually called the Aqua Palace. But near the end of the day, we had been looking for the interior part of the Winding River, which was outside, but it connected with an inside slide, and we kept looking for that. But as per usual, the signage wasn't great as to where to find it. So we did finally find it, and so I went down with Ainsley together, and then Dennis behind us. And so it was quite fun. We're going on the inside tube, and then we get outside, and there's a point where I couldn't hold on to Ainsley any longer. And she was in an area where there was some calming water. Like, I just lost hold of her. And then I went to the next section, which is where you get on when it's the outside part of the slide, because there's sort of like a wall that you have to kind of climb over a little bit to get onto that part of the slide. And so I'm waiting for Dennis, and I'm seeing all these people coming through, and I'm starting to get nervous. I'm worried, like, where's Dennis? This one man, I started yelling at him thinking he was Dennis, saying, where's Ainsley? And I realized that he wasn't Dennis. And I'm going, where are they? Because I didn't know what to do, because there was no way to go to that part of the slide. Like, you can't really walk back to it. I wasn't so worried about Ainsley because I knew she could swim, and the water just pushes you down. But she was in sort of this kind of pool area. But I was wondering, how am I going to get her? And then I saw Dennis with Ainsley. Thank God. I was so relieved. But that was it. That was the last time we went down the slide. It was just a little too terrifying at that point. I mean, there are lifeguards and stuff around, but I wouldn't know how to go back to get her. Like, if Dennis said he just happened to turn right there, because it sort of slows down a little bit, and he saw her and he grabbed her, because I just lost her there. I couldn't keep hold of her. So that was a little scary. But I mean, overall, it was a really fun day. It's really quite a well-run facility. There's like a swim-up bar that you can go to. You can get a drink. So we did that. And there's lots of stuff for younger kids. And there's a wave pool. And, they do lots of stuff for all ages. It was a lot of fun. But that end part was a little scary, to be honest. But all in all, a great day.
It's Friday. We have pretty much just 2 days left here in Prague, because we leave very, very early on Sunday. And I'm a bit sore from yesterday, from the water slides. Some of them were pretty scary. You're bumping into the sides. It's not rubber either on the outdoor one. I mean, it was a lot of fun, scary at times. It was a little precarious there, but we had a really good time, and I think Ainsley really loved it. A lot of walking. This is the most walking she's done during this entire trip. She was pretty upset when we didn't take the stroller initially, because I thought, where are we going to put it when we're there? And we're taking a tram and 2 buses, and sometimes the buses or the trams, they're stairs. Those are the older ones, and usually we just wait for the next bus, and it hasn't been a big deal. But yeah, a little bit sore today, but it's a beautiful day today. We've been waiting for this beautiful weather for the last almost 2 weeks. It had rained every day up until, I think, Wednesday of our 2-week trip. But it's been good, and we've been loving Prague, and
it's just so beautiful here. And it was never something that was on my bucket list initially, but I'm so glad we came, and all thanks to my friend Kim that we're here, because I don't think I would have chosen to come here. But a beautiful, beautiful city. It is manageable if you decide to come. I mean, we did see one other child, or I did anyways, with Down syndrome. He looked like he was a little bit younger than Ainsley, maybe 9 or 10, and he was walking, but I don't know how much walking they were doing. It's just too much walking in a day for her to be able to do it. I mean, maybe one day, but right now, no. And Dennis is pretty awesome with pushing the stroller around. A little challenging sometimes on the cobblestone, but we're managing, and the access is so much better here than in Paris with the transportation. That was really challenging last year. I mean, we loved Paris, and that was another epic trip, but it was a really challenging. There wasn't a lot of elevators or escalators at a lot of the metro stations. So, but here we are, our last 2 days, and we'll go do some fun things these next 2 days and start packing up. Kim also told us to go on a little boat cruise. There are all sorts of boats on the river, but there's these really big boats, and there's dinner cruises and things like that. But she said, don't bother with that because you don't really get to see much. Get down on those smaller boats. And so we did. We found a smaller boat to go on. It was funny because as we were waiting, we had a bit of lunch out on the boardwalk where the boats were. And it was the only place in Prague that Dennis could get a Smirnoff Ice. That's his preferred drink. So that was kind of funny. And it was really lovely. We were right out on the water, and it was a really beautiful day. And we got to go up the little canal. And I remember seeing, like, there was this platform, like, right outside of someone's, I think it was their window, actually. And there was people just standing there. It was kind of cool, actually. And just, it felt really almost a little bit majestic. You know, you see the watermill. I don't know what the right word is for it, but it was just really beautiful being out on the water and hearing the captain's explanation of the canal and what it used to be, and it turns out they're actually man-made. So, but it was a really lovely way to sort of tie up the end of our trip. And we had a wonderful afternoon, just like the rest of our trip.
We're on our little boat cruise. It's a little small blue boat, and it's quite nice. We're literally right on the water, and we're heading down towards the Devil's Channel, and I'm curious as to why it's called the Devil's Channel. I asked our captain, and she said we'll find out when we get there.
So, little Venice. The name of this canal is not the Devil's Channel, actually. The name is Čertovka in Czech language. In English it means something like a devilish woman. Yeah, woman of devil. So the translation into the Devil's Channel is not quite correct. And it doesn't sound that horrible, actually. This is artificial canal. It was built in 12th century for water mills especially. Yeah, like the one in here. But in 12th century there used to be 8 of them in here. There are only 2 left now. This is one of them, there's another one behind it. None of them works anymore. The wheel goes round, but it's just for show. And maybe that's why the name of this canal, because water used to run through this canal really fast, like a devil, because it used to drive at watermills. Another probable explanation might be that people used to say that only devil could live down here, because this area used to be also very smelly. Long, and it's very shallow, so if you can't swim, don't worry, you can walk very easily because it's only about 1 meter deep. Yeah, up to your waist. This is Kampa Island. There is Malá Strana.
It's our last full day in Prague. I'm kind of sad. I mean, it'll be nice to get home and, you know, kind of back to routine. But it's been a really great vacation, and, you know, we've really loved this city, and we're off to see the church. It's called Our Lady Before Tin. We're not really sure what that means, but Dennis keeps talking about it because it's got these 2 spires that you can see from all over the city. So we're going to go do that today, and we'll see what else we'll get up to.
Well, we were just at this really cool gingerbread shop that my friend Kim recommended. It was quite cool. All the decorations on the cookies were quite amazing. I don't do those kind of cookies. So we took some home for some souvenirs. And Dennis, bless his heart, it was all uphill to get there. It was pretty steep. But he did it. I went and got a beer on the way. He didn't want one. So we've left Prague and we're in the Frankfurt airport. And I was really worried. It's a short flight, but Ainsley was very vocal before the flight started, and I was actually in tears because it was really terrible. But once the flight started, like once the plane was in the air, she was actually quite good. Fortunately, there was no one sitting in front of us or behind us or near the back, but it was a little bit trying. And now we have a couple hours of a layover in Frankfurt, which is the third largest airport in Europe. It's huge. And we got escorted off the plane, which was really lovely. That's never happened before. But I guess when we checked in, the fellow who checked us in notified somebody, and then they met us at the door and helped Ainsley off the plane because we had to get off on the tarmac and then take a bus. And then she escorted us right to the front of the line to go through customs. So easy peasy. As I always say to Dennis, always use the Down syndrome card.
The flight home, it was hard. The first couple hours, because I think it's a 10-hour flight, Ainsley was just very restless and extremely vocal. And it was really challenging to keep her quiet. And I was in tears at the beginning of the flight. It was hard. I'm thinking, oh my gosh, we have 10 hours of this. I really hope this isn't our whole flight. And luckily, no one ever complained. A man across the aisle, he kind of smiled at me later in the flight. I think he just understood the challenges. And Ainsley didn't sleep at all. She'd put her head down, but she never slept. So I think next time we do a big flight, we need to have her sleep. I think it's just a little too much for her. You know, you're kind of locked into the seat, and yeah, it was challenging, but you know, we did it. The first couple hours were a bit rough, but we managed it and it was okay. And you know, we made it home, and Dennis's son Michael picked us up, and we just had the most fabulous trip. You know, the weather wasn't the best, but you know, we're from Vancouver where it rains all the time, and the rain, except for a few downpours, was really not that bad. It was more of a sprinkling most of the time, and it was always very short. But we just thoroughly enjoyed Prague. It's such a beautiful, enchanting city. There's so much to do there. There's so much to see, you know, and just literally the beauty and the history of Prague. It was amazing. And I'm not sure where our next big trip is going to be, but it's probably going to be in Europe again next summer, but who knows? But we'll see where the winds take us next time. So thanks for listening to the T21Mom podcast. And I hope you enjoyed this episode about our trip to Prague. And, you know, when I was at the retreat recently, several people came up to me and said our travels are really inspiring to them. And you can do these things. You can do these trips. Takes a little bit of extra planning. You know, if there's certain things that you want to do, you just might have to make some kind of accommodations. But we've had a really good stroller that we've used for the past 2 years that has really made our trips really enjoyable, really, where we're able to get around, don't have to worry about Ainsley getting too tired. And, you know, just a little bit of planning. It can, you know, take you far, take you to so many places. And, you know, the world's a big place and there's so much to see and do. And, you know, don't let that fear keep you at home. You know, if you have any questions, just send me a message. I would be more than happy to answer your questions about our trips and how Ainsley has handled it. And for the most part, except for a little bit of the flights, she's been a total champ and never complains. We just, try to make it fun. We do things for everyone involved, stuff for her, stuff for us. And we just have a great time. So thanks for listening, and keep on loving on your rockin' kiddos, and I'll see you next time.